Hello, 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 folks. This is our first official class since it officially became spring. So I'm excited about that, and it's got me thinking about some ways to prepare our bodies for the season. I want to start off today on our back body. We're going to get into our breath and into our core before we start moving from that place. So as you come to settle, take a moment today to very intentionally give in to gravity. Can be fun to think about the enlivenment that's happening in the earth beneath us. All the energy of the sap that's running up and down the trees right now, the little buds of things that are waiting to shoot up, right? The little crocus and scilly and or scilla, daffodils, all those early harbingers of spring. As you come into your breath, I'd like you to notice what has your pace of breath been like. We all have really different lives, so you might have been in a very kind of relaxed period of time in recent weeks, or maybe there's been a lot going on, even a crisis management, or just a lot of getting things done. And inevitably, our breath will kind of reflect that. So just reflect in your own witness mind. Has your breath been shallow? Has it been deep? And then let's come into 3 sighing breaths to return to our parasympathetic nervous system. So a nice long inhale. See if you can press that inhale into the lower lobe of the lungs. Make sure the belly's coming out like a big Buddha belly. And then through the mouth, giving yourself again to gravity, to the earth. Again. Is there more? Observe if that last one just left you feeling really clean and peaceful, or if you can feel there's just still some more tension or stress that you'd like to move through. Keep those sighing breaths going as often and long as you like. When you're complete, close the mouth. Just lightly connect the tip of the tongue at the roof of the mouth behind the front teeth. Close the eyes, turn them up into your third eye, kind of center of the forehead. What do you see there today? Colors, darkness? And then please imagine a spaciousness in the mouth. So the tip of the tongue is lightly connected, but invite the base of the tongue to be soft, the jaw to be soft. And as you close your lips just lightly together, you might add a soft smile. And then I'm going to invite you to imagine your favorite flower in a little miniature bud form, really teeny, so that it's comfortable to have this delicate little thing in your mouth, on your tongue. And as you take these next 3 deep, abiding breaths, maintain that spaciousness in the mouth. You might even let it expand to your cranium, a sense of all the bones softening and spreading, eyebrows, cheekbones. Notice if your mind is wandering, bring it back to your image of the flower and the soft mouth and the breath. Let's do one more. Make it as slow and deep as you can. And now continue to observe the breath, asking, is there more of the inhale of the exhale? Please add your ujjayi, that little contraction of the throat that creates great sounding breath. And it could be a soft kind of whooshing sound. When you're moving from for example, upward dog to downward dog, you might use a more powerful ujjayi. Just notice what feels right in this moment. And because this beginning of spring is really not, of course, blossoming time yet, I'm going to intentionally focus on kind of the seed, if you will, the deep bud of our strength, of our being, breath, and core. And so we're going to come into something you're very familiar with, most of you who've practiced with me, compression and expansion breath. But I'm inviting you as you do that deep exhalation, drawing the belly down for the exhale, to just envision again kind of a concentration of your body, your core muscles, and even your energy. This is a wonderful time to kind of formulate our strength and our clarity for when we choose to move forward and out into the world with more of that full spring and then summer energy. So as we continue here, it's each exhale compressing down, down, down. If your legs are straight, you'll feel your pelvis tilt up. Practice softening through the neck. You might roll it side to side. And on the inhale, a complete release, allowing the prana or life force of the inhale to kind of roll through you like a wave. Is there more? Exhaling compression. Even adding your pelvic floor for more of that concentration and strength at the center body. So as if you were Kegling or cutting off a flow of urine. Contracting on the exhale and then softening on the inhale. A couple more just in this simple format, compression and expansion. Get refined. Try to talk to muscles that aren't usually responsive to you. Deepen the practice. Again, maintaining that soft, spacious mouth. Let's do one more. Emptying, emptying, emptying. Nice. Bringing the right knee in for release wind pose. Clasping, anchoring through shoulders and elbows, powerfully flexing through feet. Maintaining that same fullness of breath, inhaling and exhaling deeply, using the core for compression. Always let the inhale have as much room as it needs, so you may need to let your thigh come away on the inhale and then deepen on the exhale. So it's also a really great hip stretch. Invitation on these last few rounds to add a sit-up motion. You initiate that by compressing, anchoring down. If this is hard on your neck, leave the sit-up part out or direct your hands behind your head. Fullness of inhale. Don't cut it short. We don't want to become strivers. We are breathers who just happen to do some cool stuff, powerful stuff with our bodies. Inhaling, release. Send that right leg straight up to the sky. Roll out the ankles. Inhale, slow, deep and wide, gathering prana. Exhale, rooting and slowly descending that right leg as if you're trying to scrape the wall in front of you with the heel. Maintain the low back anchoring. And when you connect with the floor, give into gravity. Spread and soften. Remember, you can add a sighing breath anytime you want. Let's do that leg release again. So either right leg straight up, or if you want a little extra intensity, add the second leg. But remember, we want to maintain contact with the low back. That's our priority. That and breathing. Inhaling, exhaling, rooting and descending. Make sure you're squeezing your thighs together for more core stability. Softness in the mouth, even while the rest of your body is in action. Woo, and let it go. Coming into a round of abdominal pumping. Inhaling, slow, deep and wide. Is there more? Exhaling, empty and hold out as you begin your pumping, moving the belly towards the spine and to the sky. Until you need to breathe. bringing the left knee in for release wind pose. Heels are flexed, shoulders anchored. Again, neck and mouth are soft. And deep breath here. Really bringing that Buddha belly into relationship with the thigh on the inhale. Couple more like that. Again, making the breath as long as you can. There's a wonderful myth out there that we have actually only a certain number of breaths before we die. And so that if we breathe slower, we wear out slower, and we live longer and better. I don't know if it's true or not, but there are many great reasons to slow our breath down. Last couple here, option to add release wind pose with sit up. Last one. Remember to add that pelvic floor. And releasing the spine. Take that left leg flying. Inhaling. Is there more? Exhaling, rooting and descending slowly. Back is anchored. And practice melting. Leg release again, either the left only or double. Inhaling, exhaling, root, you'll descend. And remember, you can bend the knees. So if you find that you can't maintain that low back anchoring, bend the knees. Keep them squeezing together. And melting. Abdominal pumping. Inhaling, exhaling, hold out, and begin the pumping. Now remember, you can change your pace of pumping, and it can be an amazing experience. So if you want to speed it up or slow it and deepen it, you'll hopefully feel some massage and movement right along your spine, because remember, all your organs are sitting there on the spine. When that's done, enjoy some nice deep breaths. We're going to plant the feet for our bridge pose, hands on the hips. Inhale, exhale, vigorous pressing up. Nice, powerful engagement of the glute and thighs. Beautiful. And holding here, although we always want to fluctuate the posture with the breath. So if you're at your upper end and you can't breathe well, come down a little bit. Get that fullness of inhale, and then you can always invigorate that height. And then holding, we're going to add our leg extensions. If your back is feeling just too intense already today, I would add just a hovering of one foot instead of an extension of the leg. Trying not to use the neck. Soft, spacious mouth. When you are complete, come on down, knees to belly, spinal rocking side to side. And we're going to come into a spinal twist, and I want to add an option. One is, of course, just to come on over into embryo pose, knees to the left. Alternately, I'm going to invite you to cross your right ankle onto your left knee and rotate down from there. If this is too much of a pull in your back, don't do it, but it can be a nice extra stretch in the low back and in that IT band. Either way, folks, we're opening that right arm out behind us. And you might want to explore space there, sweeping the arm up by the ear. Maybe you want to make a full circle. Again, often until we move our shoulders in yoga like this, we just don't even know what's going on, right? Like, when was the last time you even put your arm overhead? And as you're ready, you'll come back to center and switch, whatever version of your twist you're working today. Always breathing deeply, and in a twist, there's a lot of resistance to the breath. So we actually have to be kind of willful to get that deep inhale past the resistance.
And come on back. All right. Last little deal here on our back body for the moment, robot. So a nice way to start is knees tight to the belly, anchor that low back, and then with your feet flexed, legs parallel but not touching, slowly take your knees away from you until they're above the hips in that double 90. And you can have your arms straight up in this neutral starting position. And if this is new to you, remember, just do the legs. Otherwise, feel free to add the arms. Inhaling, slow, deep, and wide. It's hard to inhale in this position because your core is already working, so be willful. Exhale, anchor, and slowly take one heel towards the floor. Remember, it doesn't have to touch. We're more interested in our breath and our core. And come on back, keeping integrity, inhaling. You can soften, kind of let that connection with the back go if you want to on your inhale, and then reconnect, exhaling the other foot. If you're adding the arm, it's reaching behind you. Get that arm karate chop straight. Let's do another round, and maybe you enjoy, like I do, pausing in flight. So that means in that limb extension, pausing to take an in-breath while using those muscles. Nice exhale, come on back. Last side. And release. We're going to spinal rock up to seated to come into our table pose, or however you want to get there. All right, cow-cat, intelligent hands. Inhaling, draw your heart forward. Asking, is there more? My hope is you get a stretch all the way up into the clavicle. Exhaling, tuck the tailbone to initiate. And really feel those glute muscles participating here. Inhaling, lengthening from tailbone to collarbone. You know, this is such a simple movement, cow-cat. It's classic. We do it a lot in yoga, but it's so powerful. So if you tap into this, you can notice a lot of things happening, right? Your core work, also great shoulder blade movement. So on your exhale, think about sliding them down to the outsides of the arms. On the inhale, letting them come together. All right, last time here, I'm going to have you add something a little different. Come into your cat back. Feel that stretch. Then come into neutral, just nice stable table. And without arching your back at all, so you're going to stay neutral there, I want you to just drop your chest and let your shoulder blades basically come almost all the way together. Some of you, they might even touch. And then send those shoulder blades to the outsides of the back or the arms again. Do that a couple more times. Breathing, the breath doesn't have to match movement. But this is really important that our shoulder blades are mobile. That's a big part of what releases the trapezius muscle that can get so tight and sore. All right. So as we come into our first downward facing dog, be aware of where those shoulder blades are and think about kind of rotating them to that outside of the body. Sending the hips up and back. Knees bent, and then playing, straightening one leg at a time, or though it may never get straight, it's easier individually to get the heel towards the floor. And that is a great stretch, right? I'm hoping you are feeling it in your calves, your Achilles tendon. This is good for our feet, plantar fasciitis, the whole deal. But then if you try to press both heels towards the floor, what happens in your shoulders and neck? What we want is still that same freedom and strength in the upper body. So if you lose it when you straighten your legs, it kind of brings you almost forward a little bit. Keep the knees bent. See if you can take a couple more steady breaths here. If it's too much, coming into your child's pose or some movement. Each exhale, core drawing towards spine. One more. Good, and then join us in ragdoll, back of the mat, walking those hands slowly back to the feet. And you might sweep the area around the mat. Inhaling, hands on shins, extend halfway up, hold. I'm asking you to get a nice and neutral spine here, so tailbone to crown. We're not looking forward. Good. One more long inhale, extending, filling. Exhale, chair, dropping that butt on down. If you want an extra little balance challenge, come onto the balls of the feet. Inhaling, root and rise. Exhaling, prayer hands. So a reminder that when we sweep those arms up, if that's too much on your shoulders or neck, to bring them together, just bring them to parallel. They don't ever have to come together. All right, we're gonna grab our strap or belt if you've got something handy. It doesn't have to be a stretchy strap. It can just be actually like so. And I'm gonna step sideways on the mat in a nice straddle, not my widest straddle, just kind of comfortably wide so you feel rooted and strong. And we're gonna take our hands just a little wider than the hips on our belt or strap, shoulder heads anchor. And inhaling, slowly bring the hands and the strap up in front of you and above, whatever above is. And then exhaling down. We're gonna do this a couple more times just to feel what's in the joints and to bring some synovial fluid in there. And as we're going up, keep in mind that it's okay to have the shoulder blade come up the body. We don't need to keep them anchored like we do in plank pose. It's actually very natural for them to rise up. So hold up top here. And for a moment, just kind of shrug and feel what it takes to let those shoulder blades be free and come up with your movement versus anchored down, okay? So they're just comfortable. And now we're gonna add some good core work. Slowly pressing through the fists, go to one side. It doesn't matter which first. And feel the stretch in the side body. Also feel the anchoring in both feet, but particularly the one that you're stretching away from. Good. Inhaling, come back to center, and exhaling to the other side. Deep, abiding breath. Keeping both arms straight. That's part of what the belt helps us do, is have awareness of where those arms are. And we'll go to each side again. Good. Now let's turn the heels in and come into a nice deep squat. Again, your job is always to go to whatever makes sense in your body. So if you go down deep and your knees don't like it, then your deep squat is higher, all right? We're gonna take the hands up again. And this time I'm just gonna invite you to let one arm slide down the strap and kind of pull. It's just helping with gravity a little bit as you keep pressing along through both arms. Good, and inhaling center, exhaling to your other side. Notice what's in that side body. And if this doesn't feel good, you can shorten your distance on the strap. You don't have to have that hand way low. That's just adding a little weight and power to it. All right, and now we're gonna take that strap behind us, and you're keeping your hands facing forward. And you go as far apart on your strap as you have to. I'm gonna hinge up on mine a little bit to get those arms behind. And then ever so slowly, allowing the hands to slide apart if they need to come back up and over. So in that movement, we don't want to be bending our elbows to get to that position, right? So try that again and just see in your body what makes sense. Feeling. This is a chance to just be really intimate with those joints. And I'm hoping you're kind of feeling the shoulder blades coming towards each other. And release. Nice. Go ahead and set your strap or belt aside, and let's just love up the neck. When we do all that release in the upper back, there's always an opportunity for freedom and release through the neck. Oh yeah, I got a nice clunk. So you might come into kind of a collar like so, and just allow the head to be moving along that rim of the hands. Nice, nice, nice. We're going to come to the front of the mat to explore our warrior flow from here. And I'm going to be reminding you of some important alignments
But the main thing is the breath. So make sure you always keep your pose at a place that you feel safe and comfortable and strong, and you can bring that deep breath and that soft mouth into the practice. All right, we're going to start off in Tadasana, mountain pose. You can have hands in jet airplane or hands in prayer. And I like to start our warrior flow with standing crane. So we're going to inhale and sweep up. Exhaling, lifting left knee and pause. Abiding breath here. Inhaling, is there more? On and exhale in your own time, slow journey back to crescent lunge, ball of the back foot. Or if you prefer it, warrior one, foot is flat and turned out a little bit. Hip bones straight forward and check that your knee is right above that heel. And then we're going to play with arms some more. But again, if you've got a favorite position, go for it. I'm going to have us do some slicing. And if you're slicing, it's nice and slow because I want you to be able to feel what's in your shoulders. We're not trying to get as far back as possible because that's just going to end up kind of cranking on our traps. So breathing, feel nice straight karate chop arms and slowly taking one up and one down. So the breath is slow, the movement will be faster. See if you've got just a couple more like that. And then bringing those hands behind you, intertwining, plant your back foot flat like in Warrior One where I offered before. And just briefly add a little Yoga Mudra in here. So this is this intertwining the fingers, draw your shoulder heads down. See if you can press the fists off the back. Deep inhale. And release. Let that foot step back to deepen into Warrior Two. And your arms just come apart and open up. So a little add-on there, a little Yoga Mudra in between. And here again, what feels best in your shoulders? Is it to have platter hands? Do you want to have the palms facing the floor? Ideally, the arms are straight out, perpendicular with the floor, but if that's bothering neck or shoulder, you can always just relax it. Let's check in with our legs. Can you get any deeper? Go deep, go big. We never want the foot or knee apart from one another though, so that front knee right over the heel. And breathing. One more. Slow, deep, and wide. Inhaling, reaching up, straighten that front leg. It's like you're trying to pick a ripe piece of fruit from a tree. Check in that the thigh muscles are really engaging. When we're on a sticky mat, it's very easy to just kind of lock your legs and not work them. If you were in socks on a marble floor, you would have to engage. So imagine that you're kind of push into the floor, but also draw up and in so your feet don't slide apart. Taking another long breath with that rooting. Beautiful. Exhaling, flow forward, lateral stretch. So we're going to try and stretch this left side of the body. So whether you come onto your right elbow or down to a block or the floor with the right hand, the critical piece here is getting that left shoulder, that top shoulder, stacked over the bottom one. And then as you reach out beyond your head, there's that marvelous stretch along the side. Breathe into that shape. Sometimes I like playing and kind of pulsing, so I might choose to turn my chest a little towards the floor and then open up again. Again, remember that marble floor and the slippery socks that you have. It's a tongue twister. And as you are ready, we're going to come on up into our straddle. So we're going to turn both feet towards the side of the mat again and go side to side. Good. So if your feet are as wide as they can go, great, and if it's not hurting your ankles. If you need to bring them in further, you always can. But most people make the mistake of being too close, and then you really don't enjoy this stretch. So take it deep and wide. You can use hands on thighs for support. You can also go deeper and get your hands onto the floor. Pushing, rooting, any pace you like, just keep breathing. Nice.
Pause to one side. This is my favorite. Where are you feeling the stretch? Breathe into it. Other side. Is this different? Now I'm going to invite you to transition to downward facing dog. So you're walking your hands to the front of the mat. You don't have to do it that way, right? These are just options. And step back, downward facing dog. Settle into your best dog. Nice active upper body and core. Heels working towards the floor. I'm going to invite a pumping here. And I'm going to do a knee down version of upward dog for this, but you could do a more classic version. So you're going to drop your knees, relax your feet. Inhale forward through the heart. Nice glute squeeze. Exhaling, downward facing dog again. Now I did that transition without using my knees on the way back, but you could stay on the knees to make it easier. So inhaling, your version, upward facing dog. Exhaling, downward facing dog. One last time. And slowly walk the hands back to the feet, forward fold. Really taking time to push your way through each movement. Nice. Inhale, root and rise up. Exhaling, prayer hands. And because we almost never ever do this in our life, and it's so good for us and so fun, hop to the front of your mat. I have found it's impossible to stay grumpy hopping. In fact, I need to get a jump rope because it's brilliant. So you can also feel the heart rate, right? It's awesome. Mountain stance again, your version. Feel that sense of rooting, stability, calm in the breath, the neck, and the face. Inhaling, sweep up. Exhaling, prayer hands, right knee lifts, standing crane. Settle in. It's a balancing pose, and often we tighten our face or neck in balance challenges. So check that part of your body, invite it to soften, and exhaling, step into your crescent lunge, or if you prefer it, warrior one. I like crescent lunge because I find it's easier for me to get a nice deep stance, and I enjoy the stretch that comes with that. But it's just really what works best in your body today. So option to do that slicing if you loved that. I'm actually going to add a pumping, like wings. So we've done this before in other shapes where I've got my palms facing the thighs and I'm going to be kind of flapping it rapidly like little wings, and I'm going to add a little bellows breath here. So rapid breathing through the nose. Good, see if you can keep it going for just a few more. You're really working that abdomen where you were doing your abdominal pumping earlier. So waking up our centers, detoxing, nice. And inhaling, sweep up. Exhaling, we're going to create that yoga mudra again on this side. Try intertwining non-dominant hand clasps. So it's notice which thumb you naturally put on top and reweave so that it's the opposite. Draw down, deepen your stance, pressing the heart and the fists away from one another. You could, by the way, be using the strap again to help with this, or if you want to just skip all that, do some nice jet airplane arms. And releasing, planting that foot for warrior two on the other side. So we want that left foot forward, facing directly at the front of the mat, and our knee is tracking, driving over the heel. Thinking about those thighs externally rotating. And then come into awareness of the arms. Do you want them in movement? I think about sometimes rotating the world's largest doorknob. It's a great way to explore the shoulder joint. Or just platter hands. That left hand, our receiving hand. Receiving the gifts of spring. New fresh energy, possibility.
Settling in, go a little deeper. Hello, thighs. You're once again on that marble floor with socks. Inhaling, straighten and reach up. So again, power in that front leg. Think about the thigh muscle squeezing in towards the bone. Always giving the inhale space. If you feel it all collapsed in that back rib cage, make sure to think more about going forward and up than leaning back. Very different. On a long exhale, power from that back leg, reaching forward to then settle into our lateral stretch, getting that shoulder stacked. So again, you might be left elbow to thigh, but you're not leaning on it, or you might be moving towards the floor or a block. Check that your head is drawing back into alignment with the body. It's really easy to have it forward and not even realize. And then again, if you'd like to play, maybe you're pulsing the chest towards the floor and opening again. Some of you even enjoy adding a partial bind. That's always an option. Last couple of breaths. If we're doing this right, you will feel your legs be a little awake tomorrow or the next day. And exhaling, we're going to transition to downward facing dog. So if that doesn't work in your body, you're just going to come back up and come out of it, and then you can meet us from your table pose to downward facing dog. Join me in a couple of sighs, would you? Letting any tension and just stagnation that we're stirring up come right out the top of your head like there's a skylight opening. Marvelous. We're going to come into kneeling, and I know that this does not work for everyone's body or everyone's knees. So your alternative would be to stand up and clasp one ankle into our standing quad stretch like we do before standing dancer. But I want, if your knees will allow, to offer this as one more stretch for the front of the legs. You could also do pre-bobo. But right here, if you can lean back onto your hands like so and squeeze the glutes. You want to make sure your knees are straight forward of the hips. You don't want them splaying out. That's important. See if you've got one more in there. Hold, deep, deep breath. Awesome. And everyone, come to seated a moment with your legs straight out in front of you. So however you want to get there. And I want to offer you, because we've been doing a lot of leg work actually in recent weeks, and I know as we get outside more, those of us who are being released from a winter climate, that we're going to be doing a lot with our legs. And so when these muscles get really tight, I'm thinking specifically of like the quadriceps, one of the best techniques I've found is what I call scrubbing. And anybody can do it. You just need to kind of place your thumbs, and you're going to go back and forth, in this case up and down the leg, but in little micro distances. So, you know, like an inch, I'm going to just scrub 1 inch up and down. And then I'm going to move further up the leg, and I'm going to scrub another inch and another inch. And your body will tell you where are the hot spots. It'll be like, oh my God, that feels so good, or oh, that's really intense. Stay there, give it your love. And you can be kind of working multiple lines. There's the top line of the quadriceps, but there's also this sort of outer line here where the IT bands and quadriceps kind of make a connection. And then there's the inner as well. So I'm going to ask you to take the next, minute or so with me doing some scrubbing. And again, everyone's body is different. Some of you are going to find those hot spots right around where the quads and IT band and stuff connect with the knee. That's often where I'm quite tight. But there's also that middle section that can be just hot, hot, hot if you've been doing a lot of squatting or chair. And so at some point here, make sure and switch to your other leg. And notice, is this one different? what's in there. Keep your breath going, ujjayi. By the way, if this is hard for you to sit upright, in fact, you would want to, I should have mentioned this, but place something under your butt so that you're able to easily address the legs. You don't want them hyperextending, but you also don't want to be crouched back. So make sure you just keep a little knee bend if you're doing it this way. Excuse me. When that is done, we're just going to pound them. So we're going to give a little massage. I'm going to go on the inside of my legs. So I'm letting my legs kind of go out in a little bit of a V. I'm going to take my fists and I'm just going to kind of pound lovingly from the inside of the knee up the inner thigh and back down. And then at some point onto the quads. And then at some point to that outer leg into those IT bands. This can feel really good standing too. Nice. All right, we're going to come into pigeon from here. So I've been offering a lot of different ways to come into pigeon. We've done the on your back very frequently, and so I think most people are familiar with that. You just cross one ankle onto the other thigh, and then you bring it all towards your chest and go a little to that side. Classic pigeon here, we bring our right knee behind our right wrist. So I want to start with that. You're going to kind of come into table as an easy way, and then just sort of come onto one foot so you can bring that right knee forward. Come onto your left foot, I guess, to be specific. If we're starting with right knee forward behind the right wrist, not center of the line, it's actually out to the side. Now, a lot of people teach this pose that you want to try and get your shin parallel with the front of the mat. And that can be a wonderful stretch if your body can accommodate that. But for most people, that's going to actually wreak havoc on their knees. So I would encourage you instead to just let the kind of lower leg land where it does. You've got that knee behind the right wrist. And then come on down onto your forearms. Then take your left foot, kind of come onto the toes or the ball so you've got a little purchase, and use that to kind of pull your body a little further back. So that's how I'm going to deepen my stretch. Instead of cranking the lower leg forward, I'm going to use my back leg to draw back. I'm hoping that's making sense in your world, especially if you can't see me. And then you can relax that leg again. Now see if you can come down onto your forehead, either onto your fists or the tops of the hands, or maybe even all the way to the mat. And if you're still not getting enough stretch, again, use that back foot to draw a little further back. In recent weeks, I did also show one where you lay out onto that right butt and you bring that lower leg, the right lower leg forward. So that would be a nice alternate as well. We're going to add a little bellows breath here. And if you're stuffy or you're kind of got some high blood pressure, you're lightheaded or something, feel free to just keep your breath normal. Otherwise, nice rapid breath in and out through the nose, letting it really kind of pump your body and move it. Big inhale. And again, letting everything go right out the skylight of your head. And when you are ready, come on up to what we call waking pigeon. And I'm just going to keep my hands flat, but my elbows bent, and draw my heart forward. Nice long inhale. It's a lot like cobra. Then I'm going to give you a little add-on. It's just one of those organic add-ons that I always recommend and I love. And you're just going to bend your elbows again and slowly rotate your chest to the right and to the left. So I'm getting a nice stretch down into the side bodies here. Nice inhale, center. I'm going to invite you to come out of this in a different way. Exhaling, you're just going to lean out to that right hip and swing that left leg around. Good. And you might want to kick out that knee that was bent, right? That can feel really, really good. And we're going to do a walking, very technical term. So banging your knees Banging's not a very nice word either. You get it. Pulsing your knees against the earth, and hopefully you're kind of feeling that in your calves as well. Yeah, getting circulation in through this part of the body is so amazing for our health. It's really awesome. All right, we're gonna come into pigeon on the other side. So again, you might start off in table, come onto that right foot for support, and bring that left knee forward. Again, I don't care how far forward my left foot is. If you want to bring it a little forward, and that's what works for you, fine. But again, no cranking it into parallel with the front of the mat. So first, coming down to the forearms, if you can, that's where you might check and see if you want or need to deepen the pose by using that back leg to pull back a little bit. So we're looking for intensity that we can breathe into, that we can evolve with our attention, that we can soften and seduce into releasing. Settling the forehead if you can. Remember, you could always use a block or a pillow here as well. Inviting breath to move into this shape, to evolve the tension that you find. Is this side different? Different location of stretch or intensity of it? And invitation to once again come into your bellows breath. In and out rapidly through the nose. And then a long inhale, exhaling, whooshing through the mouth. Has the stretch changed? Is it deeper than when you first arrived? Mine is. I often notice after the bellows breath that my body can sink somewhere kind of deeper and new. When you're ready, come on up to your waking pigeon. Shoulder heads are anchored, nice open heart. This offers a stretch potentially way down into that deep psoas muscle, low abdominal muscle. And then bending the elbows, invitation to once again go a little side to side. Sometimes it feels so good I just hold to one side, or you can even, take your arms over there. And then coming back into stability with the hands in order to move out to that left hip and swing that right leg around. And again, you might want to kind of kick that left leg a couple times, but we're going to do that same walking motion. And then please flex firmly through your feet and firmly rotate your ankle or your toes in and power down through your quads. So notice what it takes in your body to get these guys to engage and straighten the legs like so. Good. And then rotate them out and do the same thing. Really power down through the legs, flex out. Go ahead and try that again. This, by the way, is an awesome movement to do in bed, like when you're first waking up or if you're having a hard time falling asleep. This really helps move tension out of the body in those long muscular lines. It's just fabulous. And release. We're going to bring the legs into what I think of as a diamond shape to add our lymph rub here. So you're going to kind of clasp just above the ankles, and you're going to be placing your thumb in what I think of as the valley, just down towards the calf from the shin bone. So if you find the bony shin and you move the thumbs a little towards the floor, you should find that valley. And then we're massaging, kind of circling our thumbs into that valley space. There are some pressure points right in the bottom 3 inches that you don't really want to press with any firmness if you're pregnant, so heads up on that. But otherwise you can go as firm as you would like. Again, we kind of like going towards the intensity, right? We're yogis, but we want to be able to breathe into it, to welcome it. I know a lot of people have been dealing with plantar fasciitis actually through this winter season. And we tend not to realize how much of that can be related to the leg, even up as high as into the hamstrings and so on. So it's just wonderful to notice what is happening and invite more fluidity in the whole leg. All right. We're going to take that, I hope, into a little bit of power, leg power. So come on up to standing. Grab your strap or scarf again. And I remember from previous times that we've done this together that I get a lot of feedback that people really feel their glutes afterwards. Good. And that means that you're doing it right. So here's the key. We're going to be coming into a balancing pose. So if you need to hold on to something, you want to have a wall or something to your side for your free arm. You don't want to be forward, because the key with this pose that we're going to do, or parts of it, is that we need to return to upright in order to get the glute work. If we're here, we're actually giving more to the glute that it doesn't like, and it gets all during the week when we're sitting too much and stuff. So I'm going to ask you to see if you can loop your strap around your right foot. Let's start off on the same foot. And then you're going to bring the ends of your strap together on the inside of the leg so that you can slide your right hand down as far as you can comfortably to get a hold of it. You want the knee straight up, so I don't want to be dropping it to the outside. We don't want it like pigeon. It's not at all. It's straight up and down, all right? So once you've got a hold of that, make sure that your shoulder heads can anchor down, that you're not shrugging and pulling up. And then as you're ready, just add that other arm. It might be out to the side. It might be coming up. We're going to stand here for about 3 breaths. That right foot is flexed. Again, the knee's straight up. And you're really using this left butt cheek to engage forward. And that creates all this line of energy, rooting and rising. Breathing. Nice, soft, spacious mouth. One more breath. And release. Whew, yeah, and you might want to do a little dance afterwards. Release that glute. So a reminder in balancing poses, this one included, that part of what will help us immensely is the ability to anchor through the inner line of that standing foot. So if you're losing balance, it's usually because you're going to the outside of the foot, which, by the way, often means that you're not squeezing through that standing thigh or glute. And that's a big part of what we're practicing here anyway. So this dovetails nicely for those of you who love balance practice. And so we're going to loop it over the left foot now. I'm going to bring them together, the pieces of strap to the inside. And I'm going to, with my left knee straight up, I'm going to bring it as close up to my body as I can. Slide my hand down and clasp as close to the foot as I can and remain in integrity. And that integrity again means that my standing leg is straight and that my torso is directly above. Find your version and enjoy 3 deep breaths. Does this side feel different? Either in terms of balance or strength? Good. Keep pushing the earth away. Keep pushing the earth away. Rising up out of yourself. And release. Nice. Let it go. All right. Still have your strap because we're going to come into that again. A little add-on. So if for some reason this just, isn't working, you've got some part of your body that just makes this not fun today, feel free to play instead with some lunges and just getting nice and low. We, in fact, did that lunge last week where you come on down to one elbow or forearm or both, or you just try and kiss the earth inside of your front leg. So looping around the right ankle again, or the right arch, I should say, sliding the hand down as close as you can to clasp, knees straight up, and then as you're ready, invite it to go to the outside, towards 90 degrees. Doesn't matter if we ever get there, right? It's nice because this also allows more broadening through the heart. Extending your other arm out or up if you prefer. And then without giving up anything in our foundation, not one iota, begin to raise your foot. Don't think about trying to straighten the leg. I just want you to raise your foot, keeping it towards the outside. This This is a lot of work on that arm as well, so if your arm gives in before anything else, no problem. Then, if you've got your foot as high as your knee, then if you would like to try and straighten it, you can. If you've got the strap, one nice thing is you can let your hands slide closer to you. You get more distance, you might be able to straighten that leg. But a reminder, again, we're not trying to get the leg straight down here. It's not going to give us anything. Much better to be up here and bent. Yes, 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 yes. Isn't it fun? It's flight, powerful flight. Let's do the other side. Again, getting a hold of that strap on the inside of the leg. Find your upright stance. Then as you're ready, work that knee to the outside. And let's just pause here and feel. Feel the power in that standing leg. Rooting and rising up out of it. When you're ready, try to bring your foot up as high as your knee. The knee is still tight. I'm not trying to lengthen my leg at all. I'm just trying to get my foot high. Then from there, you might find that you could straighten it, for example. And if that doesn't work, again, just let it come up higher. I'm noticing that my scarf I'm using today is a little slippery. It's making it actually harder work for my hands. When that is all complete, come on out. Whew, yeah. And inviting you to just actually do some very simple hip circles here. It's a nice way to let those glute muscles release. We're not quite done using our legs, however, because I want to come into our goddess stance today, and we're going to do a little more pranayama, a little more breath work. So when we do Kapalabhati, which is that skull polishing breath, and we're really pumping the abdomen, it gets taught different ways, and I've taught it different ways actually over the years, but I think it's also kind of dependent on what feels best to you at the time. So for example, we say that the important part is getting a nice long inhale. It could actually be a short inhale if you're able to get it deep, if that makes sense. So the priority is that you want to get full inhale before you're doing that rapid expulsion. So it's a little bit different than bellows breath, right, where we're just kind of sips in and out. When we're doing the Kapalabhati like this, make sure you're getting that big inhale, whether you do it slow or fast, and then the rapid expulsion, all right? So our goddess stance. Our toes are turned out just comfortably, whatever. If you hop again, which again is so much fun, whatever angle they land at is your natural angle. We don't want them turned out in a plie. Okay. And then let's just explore how are our hips and legs after all of our adventures so far. And then goddess arms like so, kind of bent 90-degree elbow, and the elbow's the same height as the shoulder if you can. If that just is like not working for you today, bring them down, but still very kind of active and enlivened would be a nice alternate. All right, so up to you, and then inviting you. Nice strong gaze, either open drishti gaze or closed inside, and begin. Nice big inhale, whether it's long or slow, or fast or slow, and then that big exhale. So on each exhale, you're really using your abdominal wall that you've strengthened today to power towards the spine, kind of like in compression. Again. Now, can you keep going and stay spacious in the mouth? Find that little flower bud and keep it safe. A few more. You got it. Couple more. Keep those elbows high if you can. Sink that butt lower if you can. Last one. And then inhale. Turn the heels back. Root and rise. Push the ceiling away. Big glute squeeze forward. And exhaling, forward fold. It can be a little intense being an inversion like this after that breath work. So again, if you feel lightheaded or something, feel free to come out. Otherwise, slow and deepen your breath here, just hanging, a little resting pose. And when you are ready to release, just bring those feet in so you've got a nice, comfortable rise up. invite you to come into your little neck collar again and just see what's in the neck now. We've done a lot that I hope will release it and align it. And congratulate yourself if you've caught yourself even once or twice using the neck or the jaw and when you didn't need to and letting it go. That's fantastic. So I want to take all that now into some forearm plank, and I'm going to give you a couple add-ons during our forearm plank. You don't have to do them, right? A lot of us can get plenty of good work. I can get really sore abdominal muscles and a really good heat up doing knee down forearm plank, just that. So hoping similarly you can create good stuff without overdoing. We'll all start with regular forearm plank, okay? Either knee down or on your feet. So if you want to start on your belly, or you can come from table, however you'd like. Shoulder heads anchor down. Find your nice long inhale. Really bring it down into those lower lobes of the lungs. Feeling it in the ribs, and exhaling, tucking the tailbone and pressing away into your forearm plank. Again, you might be in knees or on your feet. If you have low back challenges in forearm plank, I would definitely do knee down. It's going to just be structurally a lot easier to find your alignment where the back is happy. If you'd like a little more intensity, you might walk your elbows forward a little bit. Not a lot. I don't want to see the elbows forward of the shoulders by measurable inches, because that puts your shoulder into a not really sustainable or safe place. I hope you're quivering. I am. See if you've got 3 more breaths here. Soft mouth, delicate flower. Make sure your thighs are squeezing towards each other and towards the sky. Last breath. You got it. Yes. And come on down. Ah, love the earth. Tune into your heartbeat, your breath. This is a great time to be grateful for your incredibly strong and resilient body. Especially if you have any injuries or sore places that you need to accommodate in daily life, much less on the mat. It can make you start to feel like things are falling apart. And one of the reasons I love forearm plank is because it doesn't challenge a lot of parts of our body, our wrists and whatever, but it lets us feel how strong we are and celebrate that. So it's the truth is that we're not falling apart. More things are operating beautifully on our behalf than we realize. So I'm going to invite you to come into your second round. Again, it might be on knees or feet. If you're on feet, you have the advantage of playing with a couple of add-ons. First add-on, try raising one leg off the floor, and you're just reaching for the wall behind you. You're not trying to go up to the sky. And switching. Stay soft in the neck. Deep breath. Soft smile. Whatever it takes to be here with equanimity. And release. Make sure you get those really nice deep breaths here while we're in resting, because even if we're breathing well during a pose like forearm plank, we cannot soften fully to receive it because we're using those muscles all around our ribs and in our abdomen and so on. And if you feel inspired to come in for one more add-on, please do. And this add-on is so great for our side body, which we started off working right away today. And for this to work well, it's key as I bring one knee towards the tricep, little frog pose. I'm going to hold for the whole exhale. But it's key that the other leg is stable. So I need to make sure it's not collapsing or rotating to the outside. So squeeze those thighs together and imagine that squeeze still happening while you release your other knee towards the tricep. And feel free to do that a couple of different times. You can always come out and come back in. But the thing that I found about this is that it only is its most effective if you squeeze and hold for the whole exhale. It's just like you really want to touch your knee to your tricep, and then you release on the inhale. My guess is you are ready to come out by now. If you're not, well, have at it. Congratulations. Once you come out, inviting you to roll over onto your back, however you want to do that. Have your block or your little rolled up bolster for under the rib cage and sacrum ready. And we're just going to briefly come into bridge pose. Just whatever version you'd like. You can add the Yoga Mudra arms behind or what have you, but I just want to give you that final glute squeeze that really helps balance the body out. When you're complete with that, we're going to grab our block and place it under our sacrum. So if you lift the hips up, you place the block just under the sacral triangle. And that's that bony triangle at the top of the crack of the butt, not in the lower back here. And then give your weight to the block and observe. Sometimes this alone just feels so great, I don't want to change a thing. Sometimes I want to experiment and go, okay, if I straighten my legs, does that feel even better? If you're doing that, the legs are just flopped to the outside, by the way. You're not trying to hold any particular alignment. This is like your body's just draped over the block. Nice deep belly breaths. Each exhale giving into gravity. Stay here as long as it feels great. Again, don't hang there too long and let tension build. It's just meant to be totally therapeutic. And then, if you'd like, either the block or like a rolled up blanket, you're going to add that object underneath the rib cage and recline over it like so. Now you might want a blanket or a scarf or something under the head so that your head isn't like tilting too far back. We want the neck to be a nice long extension, a curve but no kind of bending or collapse or compression. And if you'd like, a couple of add-on options here to close our shoulder exploration for this practice. And one is to just reach one arm overhead, and then you can kind of sweep it a little in and out by the ear, like so. And that can be a wonderful way, again, to feel that shoulder blade moving. Another exploration here that I don't offer often is to have your hands straight up and then press up so that the shoulder blades are, again, coming to the outside of the back, just like we did in table pose. And then to drop the shoulder heads down towards the floor. And then you feel the shoulder blades kind of coming towards each other. So just depending on what the tension patterns are in your body, one or the other of these might feel really, really perfect. I often think that these bits of kind of self-massage, as I tend to think of them, we're kind of doing to ourselves what we crave that we could get someone to do. But what's great is we can do them every day, right? We have the access to our body and whatever the supportive objects are that get us there. And what I love about these self-massage pieces is that I find that they really, if we practice them regularly, they will actually transform certain held tension patterns. Maybe we've just got chronic neck tension because of the trap muscle and so on. These shoulder releases can often make the difference. So try and observe what's felt really, really good. What's gotten you into your core today the best? What's been the best tool? What's helped your shoulders and neck have the most freedom? Have you been able to find deeper breath than usual in some of your postures? And if so, congratulations. That is the ultimate focus of our yoga practice. So I want to close with a pranayama practice, and you could be doing this just in your corpse pose, shavasana on your back. You could come into just child's pose if that's appealing, whatever you'd like. Maybe join me in seated meditation. But I'm going to invite you to come into a slightly different version of breath. We've been doing, before we've done the breath blocks. Last practice, we did a kind of a box breath where you were inhaling 4, holding 4, exhaling 4, and so on. And you just make that box. And these are all really great for relaxation. And another one that I don't explore very often, but that I wanted to bring to you today to try on and see if your body likes. You're simply shifting to exhaling through the mouth. In yoga, we often do it through the nose, not always. And this is one of the exceptions where we choose to exhale through the mouth, but like through a small opening, as if you were sipping through a straw, but the breath will be going the other direction. And I just want you to notice if this to you feels more relaxing, more releasing than, say, doing it through the nose. All right. So as you're ready, I want you to just inhale slow, deep, and wide, as long as you can, through the nose. And on your exhale, through that imaginary straw, see if you can lengthen it to about 8 counts, like 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, something like that. And if it goes longer, great. I'm going to invite you to do just a few rounds of those. Inhaling, a full breath, deep and wide, and then that slow release through the mouth. One more. And at the tail end of that last exhale, really invite your entire body to soften, spread, sink in with gravity, and once again return to awareness of the earth beneath you, all the budding things. Each exhale inviting another part of your body to relax, soften, and sink. Is there any more softening? Any more letting go? And while you're in this deep, soft, integrated space, I invite you to just reflect briefly. You could journal about it more later or something like that if it's poignant to you. But reflect briefly on whether you're ready to spring forth yet. As I mentioned, we're really at the early part of spring. We're still kind of in some of that winter energy where it's great to declutter. It's great to spend some time inward and quiet. It's like we're gathering and preparing for all of the resources and the energy that will bring us up and out into full spring and then summer. We often ask, have you attended to what you need to in yourself or in your house? This is where, again, journaling can be helpful if there have been some themes of challenge or distress that could use some more digestion. This is a good time to do that. Getting extra sleep if your body is asking for it. As always, I'm going to close our practice with the singing bowl, and you're welcome to Om and create your own vibration. Remember, you can Om at a very high note, low note, loud, softly. You could just add sighing breaths if that feels appropriate. Please let the gifts of your yoga practice go deeper into your body and being, nourishing you. It's also a wonderful time to offer up the gifts of our practice, perhaps to a loved one or someone that we know could use these moments of breath and being, but perhaps will not make it to their yoga mat this week or that quiet space. So grateful you joined me today. Om Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace. Namaste. I hope you feel great in your body. I hope you feel some new stuff wake up. I want to hear about it.